Alright, so what we're going to be doing today is, half of what we're doing today is going to be using the slope we were just found in our warm-up. And then the other half is we're going to actually start finding equations. So you guys have seen this equation we're going to work with before. We did a little bit last chapter. This chapter we're going to use it a lot. So we're going to look at our slope-intercept form of an equation, or just our slope-intercept equation, which is, anybody remember the equation we learned last chapter? Started with y equals?
Y equals mx.
Yeah. We're going to look at y equals mx plus b a bunch in this chapter. Because this chapter is all about finding lines, so we're going to be finding some lines using y equals mx plus b. Make sure you guys are taking notes because these are worth points. So we're going to get into a lot more detail this chapter compared to last chapter. So we talked about m and we talked about b. Remember, m was what you changed by each time and b was where you started based on last chapter. We're going to kind of get the formal definition now. So last chapter was really informal. This one we're really going into detail, really formal. So m is our slope. How much we change by each time is how we said it last chapter, and that's just our slope. So we found our slope before in our warm-up and in the last section we did. And then b is our y-intercept, which is where our graph crosses the y-axis. So when I make an equation of a line, all I need to do is fill in m and fill in b. This x and y pretty much just stay x and y. So I don't ever really need to change those most of the time. Well, once or twice I might, but it's not going to be for a while. So for right now, all you need to worry about is I need to figure out what my slope is and what my y-intercept is. So what's my m, what's my b? So we're going to start just by seeing how some of these equations are going to look like. So if I'm going to make an equation of a line with a slope of negative 4 over 5 and a y-intercept of 7, I just need to fill in m and b. So slope we said was m, right? This negative 4 over 5 is my m. B is this 7. I just need to fill in those numbers in my equation. So if I'm going to make that equation, I'm going to go y equals, and instead of doing m, I'm going to go negative 4 over 5, because that's what my m equals. And then right next to it, I go x. Like that. And then I'm going to go plus y of b is 7. That's my y-intercept, where it crosses my y-axis. I'm going to go plus 7. That's all it takes to make an equation. You fill in m, you fill in b, and then you make sure you keep your x and y in there. If I'm going to look at the second one, what is an equation of a line with slope 3 over 2 and a y-intercept of negative 1? Slope is my m. My y-intercept is b, my negative 1. So I'm just going to fill in my numbers. Y equals 3 over 2. Then I got to put my x right next to it, because it's 3 over 2 times x, even though we're not writing the times. We'll get into that more later. You guys have seen that before, but just to remind you. And then I could do one of two things. I could go plus, and my b is negative 1, right? I could go plus negative 1, or plus a negative is really the same thing as a minus. So I can do, or I can go y equals 3 over 2x and minus 1 instead of plus 1. Either one of these is fine. It doesn't matter either way. I like doing the minus 1 because that's one less thing I have to write. I don't have to write a plus and a negative. I can just write a minus. But if you don't like that second one, or if you don't like the first one, it doesn't matter which you use. Just pick one. So we're going to practice finding these equations by actually looking at lines. So half of what we're going to do is find our slope, like we did in our warm-up, and the other half is going to be finding our y-intercept, which the y-intercept usually isn't too tough, as long as I can draw out my example line. Which I think I can answer. Everybody got these notes down before we move on? Yeah. Dylan, you got these notes down? Why don't you close that Chromebook too? We don't need it right now. Alright, so we're going to find the equation of this red line right here. So we're doing y equals mx plus b. So I need to find my m and I need to find my b. And remember, m is my slope, and b is my y-intercept. And when I talk about b, I usually don't write y-intercept because that's kind of annoying to write. I usually go y-int for y-intercept. They mean the same thing. So b, y-intercept, where it crosses the y-axis, I kind of switch around what I say, but they all mean the same thing. And m and slope, I'll go back and forth with what I say, but they mean the same thing. So I'm going to start with one we haven't done yet, my y-intercept, or b. So b is where it crosses the y-axis. My y-axis is my up and down axis right here. So it's up and down along, make it blue just so you can see it a little better. And I need to see where does this graph cross the y-axis right here. So it crosses, color, make it look nice and pretty. Crosses up here.
By one.
Right here, right? My red line crosses my y-axis right here, right?
Oh.
My y-intercept is whatever this y number is. So this is -2, right? My y-intercept, my b, is -2. That's where it crosses the y-axis. -2. And I also need to find my m, my slope. But this is what we practiced on our warm-up. So, mx plus b is kind of nice, because I already have a point, right? I know exactly where this point is, because it crosses at -2. That part's pretty nice. I just need to find a second point that I know exactly where it is. And remember, like right here, I'm going to look at right here. I don't know exactly where that is, so I'm not going to pick it. But I know exactly where this one is, because it crosses at this intersection right here. So I know it crosses exactly right there. Now that I got these 2 points, I can find my slope. So always start at the left. Always start in your left point, and then you're either going to go up or down first. Because remember, slope is rise over run. Slope is rise over run. So always go up or down first. So I'm starting at my left, and I got to go up 1, 2. I'm going up 2. Because I'm going up, it's going to be a positive. So for my slope, +2 over. And then my run, I got to go 1 to the right. So my run is 1. And even though 2 over 1 is really just 2, right? Leave it as a fraction. You don't need to change this around. Just leave it as a fraction. You don't have to, but I'm going to recommend it. I won't force you if you really don't like fractions. I've had students who are like, I just can't do this. I want to divide it out because it really bothers them. If it really bothers you, you can divide it out, but leave it as a fraction. Because when we go to graph these later, in 3 or 4 days, we like fraction students. So, I've got all my information here, but have I actually written an equation yet? Nope. So I need to actually make an equation now. So I'm going to fill in my m with my slope, 2 over 1, my b with my y-intercept, -2. I'm going to go y equals 2 over 1x plus -2, or you can go -2. I would take either one of these. Or y equals 2 over 1x minus 2. Same thing, either way. Doesn't matter which one you pick. Alright, we're going to practice finding these equations a couple more times. This time I'm going to look at this red line down here. So I need to find my m, and I need to find my b. I usually start with b first, even though it's not the first thing we make in our equation. I usually start by finding that first, because that's usually a little bit easier. So I need to find where my red line crosses my y-axis, which is the up and down part. And it crosses right here. And I just need to figure out what number is that at. What's that y number? And it is at 1, 2. My b is 2. And then I need to find a second point. I know for sure where it's at, and I've already got one, so I'm just going to find my second. I'm going to go, yeah, that one right there. There's actually quite a few. I could use like this one, or even this one if I wanted to. But nope. If you don't like using this point, you can use whatever point you want. So as long as you pick 2 points you know for sure, you're going to get the same answer. You might have to reduce, but you're going to get the same answer. Which is what makes slope kind of nice. Slope on a straight line is always the same number. So, if I'm going to find the slope, I'm doing my rise over run. And I'm going to start here on the left side, and I'm going down. I'm going to go down 1 this time. Because I'm going down 1, what does that make my slope? Oh, Zoe. If I'm going down, what does that make my slope?
1.
is 1. But is it going to be positive or negative?
Oh, negative.
Negative 1. Yeah, so it's going to be negative 1 because I'm going down. And then I am going over 1. So I'm going right 1. So my run is 1. So because I'm going down, it's negative 1 over 1. And I'm not quite done because I have to actually make my equation. Excuse me. I go y equals negative 1 over 1 x. And then plus, my b is 2. And that is my final equation. Alright, we're going to do one more. You guys are going to help me out with this one. Then you guys are going to practice a couple. And then that'll be it. We're just going to practice finding these equations today. So, we're going to look at this blue line now, which is this kind of lower one. So we need to find our m. We need to find our b. So Dylan, start us off. Playing with my door. You want to find m or b first? Alright, what do I need to do to find m? What's the first thing I need to do to find m?
Find a point.
Yep, we need a point. Let's use this one. We can use this one later. And then what's the second thing I gotta do?
And another one.
Yep. Let's use right here. I can't tell from this far away. Does it cross exactly? Oh yeah, that was good. That was good right there. All right. And then Alex, what are we gonna do next now that I have these 2 points?
You're gonna do rise over 1.
Okay. We do rise over run, and am I going to start on this point or this point?
Bottom.
What?
The bottom.
Yep, the one over here on the left side. It's on the bottom too. Okay. So my rise, I'm going up. 1, 2. And Joyceline, because I'm going up, does that make slope positive or negative?
Negative. Positive.
What?
Positive.
Positive. When I go up, it's positive. When I go down, it's negative. So my first part of my slope is 2, because I'm going up. And then my run is 1, 2, 3. So I go 2 over 3 for my m. Alright, I need my b. And Robert, where's the b at? Like where does my graph have to cross to find the b?
Oh,
Which axis?
B, Y, no, X.
What? You said little pick one.
Hey, clearly,
Yeah.
Robert.
X, sorry. I'll have to.
Where it crosses the x-axis?
Yes.
The other one. Y-axis.
Oh,
Where it crosses the y-axis, the up and down one. So, we actually have that dot on here. I was thinking ahead. And that is this dot right here. Sophia, what's this y for this dot down here? So we start in the middle, and what?
1.
Yep. But because we're going down, negative 1. Negative. Negative. So I have everything I need, but Kyle, am I done answering the question yet?
No.
No. We gotta make our equation, right? What's our equation gonna look like?
Y equals 2, 3, x plus negative 1.
2 over 3x plus negative 1. Or you could go minus 1 if you want. It doesn't matter. You only need one of those. So pick the one you like and just stick with it. It doesn't matter either way. And that's it. Now we're done. I guess I can do the or part. Or if you already did this, it's y equals 2 over 3x minus 1 like that. Either one of those is fine. You only need one of these answers. So if you wrote this first one, you don't have to write the second one. Alright, you guys are going to try a couple now. We're going to start with the pink line, which is the short one that starts at the top. That's a little higher up. So on your own, I want you to find the equation of the pink line. Find the equation of the pink line, which is the little short one. So start by finding your M and finding your B. Or, well, you don't have to start with M, but you gotta find M, you gotta find B. Oh, wrong color. Pink, so we can match them up. Find your M, find your B, and then make your equation. So I'll give you a couple minutes, work on it on your own, then you guys are gonna help me out. Yep, 1 second. So B is where it crosses the notes. Wax. Which one's your one? Is it left and right one? Or left and right? This one says Y, this one says X, and this one is Y. Up and down is Y. So if it doesn't have it, you can run it. So X and Y. Okay, where does this graph cross this Y axis? Yeah, that's true. But we're not looking at this line. This is so it's right here. That's for the second one. Yeah, right here, right? Right. And you can find out what number is that at on your wall. So we're gonna start here in the middle. Like that, right? And then we're just gonna count. Since I'm going up, it's probably one. Okay. That's it. Hold the thing on that one a little bit. What you got? That exit ticket. Let's put your eye on this one. So we're finding just the equation of this line. So we got
Get it in time.
So let's start here. Now let's hit the y intercept, the graph crosses the y-axis. Which one's the y-axis? This way. Okay. So what is this line cross that?
I'm doing this. Oh, hey, you can't do that because I started it.
I started it.
I started it.
I started it. I started it.
Number.
I started it just because it was stupid.
So you start in the middle.
My eyes are still
Why are you?
Where you started.
Because we're going up, it's possible.
In allergic reaction.
That's your B.
I started water.
Oh.
Okay, we need our M.
Also got to
What was our M?
Time.
Yeah, right? Remember how to find the slope?
Huh?
How far you
That's
want
what
to
we did right now. So we got 1 point, right? We need another point. Show
Where
where
did-
it's at.
do?
Oh, do?
So on this
Do?
line.
Oh,
you know,
no. 190.
I'm at 330.
Yep.
Hi.
And it's.
I'm good at this part.
We'll see something about where does the line go?
For the B part, right? So we start up and down part first. So 3, because we're going down, it's negative.
One, two, three.
It's kind of backwards from what you usually do. So it's a little backwards. So your slope is negative 3 over 2. Now you just got to put them all together into your equation. All right, we're gonna have some people help me out with this one. We'll see. The calculator chooses you. Sometimes it does. Drayton.
Oh god.
All right, Drayton. I want you to find. I'll let you pick. You can either find M or B on this one. You can either find M or B on that pink
I
line.
was up there because I can't see
That's
right.
fine. Yeah, you can. It's kind of hard to count from back here. The lines kind of blur together for me. I'm gonna do it.
It's all blurriness
You
from
could actually go up and write on the actual board if you didn't want to use a little tablet. Although it is funnier to watch you try to use the little board. I'm not gonna lie. Half the reason I do that. Makes me feel better about my own handwriting. Alright, why don't you make it a little bigger so you can see that dot. There you go, that's better. Okay,
That's it.
what is it?
Find another dot.
What'd you find? What are you working on finding?
M.
M, okay, so there's one dot. So we need something else for our other M.
No.
You're almost there.
Not quite.
Okay, I give up.
Alright, we need another dot. We know exactly where it's at. That's a good one, yes. Alright, how do we find M between those 2 points? How do we find our slope?
Yeah, I don't know.
Rise over run. Start on the left side. Start on that left dot. And count. How far down do we have to go? Yep.
5.
Nope, to that second dot you missed. So on the left dot to that dot. Yeah, right there. So how far down did we have to go? Start at your left dot again. Left dot.
Okay. What?
Start on the left
I'm
dot.
dead right now.
Start on the left dot.
You're bad.
That's the right dot. It's on the right side, right there. Okay. How far down do you have to go until you're at the same level as that second dot on the right? So there's. So start your countdown. So count down.
He said 3.
Oh, I didn't hear you. 2, 3, right?
Yeah.
And because we're going down, it's not 3, it's -3. So that's the first part of our M, -3. Okay, and then how far to the right do we have to go? So we're even. 2. So our slope, our M, is -3/2. There we go. Nice job, Trey. Alright, and then we gotta find the B. And on this one, we are gonna have. Oh, it is easy. Alright, Susie, find B. I know, it was on your paper. I don't know why you
I
didn't.
put 5 over.
Alright,
I did.
what's our B, Susie? Our B is 5, because that's where it crosses our y-axis. Now make her a finalist. Good job.
You don't know what that means?
I know, right? Oh. So it was already. Is it Susie? Oh, it's Susie.
What? Okay, I'm confused.
I think a magic trick.
Where's the
-3 over 2x plus 5.
She
5 is where it crosses the y-axis. Right here. So that is that. Start here in the middle and just count up how high or low is it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, if you haven't yet, I want you to find the equation of this green line. That'll be a last in-class problem. To find the equation of the green line, I'll give you about a minute, because I think most people already did it, or at least got started. Find the equation of the green line. We'll have a couple more people help us out. If you're already done, you could work on your exit ticket, which is on the back, and it's just the same thing. Find the equation of the line.
What's the homework?
I'll tell you in a minute. So find your M, find your B. We'll have to count on this second one for your M. Ready to get it, Bloom? What's your slope? On your slope. Careful on that, because I guess I would take that. I would take that. Yeah, I'll take that. Oh, that's right. I'm thinking on the exit ticket. The exit tickets pull it. Yeah. You're okay. You're okay. Take it back, Will. Take it back. this going?
No.
Down there? So then you do it points, yeah, right?
Ruin the video.
Right. Yeah, put the video that you don't do it in class, you put the extra work outside of class.
Chloe, ready?
Alright, Allison, find a piece of this for us. Let you see what we're trying to do.
Yeah, we'll get you.
Alright.
Wait, let me change something.
Just
Find them both by two and you get one.
Can we just make the equation? Or do we solve it?
you know, it's all
Just put the dots in there. And tell me the job. Alright, Allison's gonna start us off.
Allie.
Oh, I have horrible hair. I got it right there. No, right there. And then,
Okay, I see what you're
and then I got it right here.
doing. Okay, so you did your things for your slope. Doing your triangle backwards, that's okay, maybe you still get the right answers. What's your M?
What? Oh,
What's your M?
okay, so I got over 6, but then for M, and then I estimated it, and then I got 1 over 3.
You reduced it.
Yeah,
You missed it.
whatever.
So M is 1 over 3. Nice. So when I said you did your triangle backwards, usually you start on the left and you go up or down first. So you do a little triangle thing like this. Because it's up or down, tries to run, right? You're like this. Alright, Richie. We got our M. Finishing off. I believe in you. Alright, what's our M, Richie? You got kind of a sneaky one.
Oh, wait, is M? Isn't M the
Or sorry, B. What's B? Great.
V?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the equation? Well, not the equation.
The y-intercept. Where does it cross the y-axis?
There.
Okay, what's that number? Okay, so put everything together now. Put your M and your B into your equation.
Oh.
Make your equation.
Oh.
Start in the bottom.
Do that.
Yeah, okay. That's a weird 3, but I'll take it.
No.
Well,
No.
well,
It's y equals, not even. It's y equals instead of M.
Oh.
Because those are the pieces. M is a piece of that. The final equation is y. There you go. Alright, so y equals 1 over 3x plus 0. As you did this, if you do a plus 0, does that matter? Does plus 0 change anything? Have you ever added 0 anywhere? No. So this is kind of a weird one. If b is 0, you actually don't need to write it. So I could have left this as y equals 1 over 3x. But if you did plus 0, it's not wrong. You just wrote down more things than you needed to. So I take you to one of those. Alright, nice job. So, if you haven't yet, find the equation of this blue line for your exit ticket. I will turn on Socrative and then put your homework on Google Classroom.
yes. 12 p.m.